Hello everyone and welcome to the big game. I'm Carson Fryou alongside my good friend Jermaine Kelly, and tonight we'll look ahead to see how the Southeastern football team fared against the McNeese Cowboys.
We'll also take a look to see if the Saints could continue their offensive surge against the Chicago Bears.
But first, let's see how the defending Southland Conference champion Lady Lions tipped off their 2023 season. The Lady Lions started their defense of the Southland Conference Championship Monday evening with a dominating 61-30 win over Millsaps College. The Lady Lions' stout defense was the leading factor in the victory, forcing 24 turnovers that included 12 steals. Southeastern didn't allow more than 10 points in each quarter to shut down the Millsaps offense. On the offensive end, Cheyenne Daniels was the game's leading scorer with 22 points and 10 rebounds to secure the first win of the season for the Lady Lions. The Lady Lions traveled to Starkville, Mississippi Friday to take on the Lady Bulldogs. And after being picked to finish first in the Southland Conference preseason polls, the Southeastern men's basketball team earned their first win of the season. With a balanced scoring attack, Roger McFarland led the charge with 14 points, while both Roscoe Estman and Nick Caldwell finished with 13. Southeastern finished the game with 6 players in double digits as they look to carry the offensive momentum into their next matchup as they take on the Auburn Tigers tomorrow night in Alabama.
After picking up their first win of the season 2 weeks prior, the Lions football team played host to the McNeese Cowboys, who also entered last Saturday with only 1 win in the season. Could the Lions keep up their winning momentum against the Cowboys? Let's find out. Some Southland Conference football action, and on the first drive of the game, Clement is going to swing out and find Jacob Logan, who breaks across the midfield for about 16 yards. A few plays later, Zachary Clement is going to find Darius Lewis on the little hitch route for the 17-yard touchdown. Lions go up 7-0. McNeese trying to answer back, and it won't take too long as Ryan Roberts will go to Jonathan Harris, who makes a move on Ian Goodley and scampers in for the 54-yard touchdown to tie up the game 7-7. Next drive for Southeastern on 4th down. They're a 1-win team. They got nothing to lose, and that's a fake punt. And Jacob Logan picks up 37 yards going down the sideline. That sets up a handoff to Derek Rodeo Graham for the 6-yard touchdown. Southeastern regains the lead to go up 14-7. On the start of the second quarter in the wild line formation with Bauer Sharplow fake to the quarterback, fakes out Jules, fakes out the McNeese defense down the sideline, gains about 30 yards. That sets up Rodeo Graham once again for the 15-yard touchdown, and Southeastern goes up 21-7. Now, start of the second half, first play of the third quarter, and Camden Sixkiller is going to find Jihad Marks for the 77-yard touchdown. Runs away from 4 Lions defenders. Nobody's going to catch him, and McNeese is only down 1 score now. Southeastern's next drive, Clement is going to swing it out to Bauer Sharp, who picks up about 18 yards, steps out around the 40-yard line. Later in that drive, once again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Hand it off to Rodeo Graham. He punches in the 3-yard touchdown. Southeastern goes up 28-14. Now, Southeastern trying to extend their lead, but Micah Davey, this man was all around the field on Saturday, and that's a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. That's going to set up a D'Angelo Durham 4-yard touchdown. McNeese only down 4, 28-24, but Zachary Clement got time in the pocket, scrambles out, underthrows Xavier Hill, but it doesn't matter. That's a 46-yard touchdown. Southeastern would go on to beat the McNeese Cowboys 26-20, picking up their second win of the season.
The Lady Lions volleyball team is currently in the middle of one of the best regular seasons in program history. While currently riding an 18-game win streak with their last 4 wins coming via a sweep, the Lady Lions are 1 win away from clinching their first ever Southland Conference regular season championship. The Lady Lions attempt to make history Thursday night when they host the UIW Lady Cardinals in the University Center. And coming up after the break, we'll have the latest on the Saints as they welcome the Chicago Bears into the Caesars Superdome and how the New Orleans Pelicans are faring early this season. Don't go anywhere.
I am what hunger looks like in America.
I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs. And that's still not enough to put food on the table. I am a 16-year-old boy who just got my first job to help feed my little sisters. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew they were hungry.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
History is not always something we can see or touch. What they encountered horrified them. One of the most diabolical crimes in Louisiana history.
There's no way this is real.
Welcome back to the big game. New Orleans Saints returned back home to host the 2-6 Chicago Bears. Was it an easy victory for the Saints, or did the Bears come out of hibernation and claw their way to a victory? Big game reporter Mackenzie Fletcher has more insight on this NFC matchup.
It looked to be a roller coaster of the season. The Saints have now gained their 2nd consecutive win, this time against the Bears, thanks to a defensive resurge after the first half, a stellar performance by Carson and an offense that hasn't reached their full potential just yet. The Saints defense struggled in the first half of the game, allowing the Bears' former D2 undrafted quarterback Tyson Baguette to lead the Bears offense to put up 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 carries for 60 yards in the first half of the game. But the second half resurge for the Saints defense held the Bears to only 118 yards in the second half. With that resurge came 5 forced turnovers from the defense, with 3 of those coming from cornerback Paulson Adebo, who had one of the best games of his career with 2 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery.
Great play calls, DA and our DC Joe Woods, both of them just putting us in the position to make plays. So depending on the down and distance, I feel like they had us in a good call to be able to execute our technique and make a play on the ball.
Meanwhile, the Saints offense had a significantly better start. Heading into halftime, putting 14 points on the board, their response to the lights-out defense in the second half was not as consistent, but their constant growth has been a positive for head coach Dennis Allen.
But offensively, in the first half, I thought we moved the ball really well, and there was consistency in what we were doing in the first half. Not quite as good, in the second half. So, look, it's something that we got to go back and, evaluate the tape, make the corrections that we need to make, and then move forward from that. But I have seen more consistency out of the offense in the last month, and so. That's been good to see.
While still in the ups of their growth, the Saints offense finished the game with 301 yards of total offense, 214 passing yards, 87 rushing yards, and a sackless night for quarterback Derek Carr.
At the end of the day, we won. And, this is professional football. Everyone, is into numbers and fantasy football and all those things. Sometimes DB makes plays. Sometimes the defense gets in there, whether, no matter what the rankings are. And, they, made a few plays in the second half early on that we didn't make, but I'm not overly concerned or like, oh man, it's not fixable or anything like that. But they made plays at those moments that made it feel like when we came out, it just wasn't feeling as good as the first, but I have no worries. I'm fully confident. in our group.
While the Saints offense finished the night with 3 touchdowns, 2 of those coming from Carr, one with a connection to wide receiver Chris Olave in the first quarter. The other 2 touchdowns involved the Saints' Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill. Hill's passing touchdown, receiving touchdown, and 40 yards rushing in this game put him in the books by becoming the first NFL player since New York Giants Hall of Famer Frank Gifford to score 10 or more times each as a passer, runner, and receiver.
I look back at my career and I certainly didn't think that it would have gone the way that it has, but as I hear and I think about stuff like that, it's overwhelming. I have a lot of gratitude to be able to be part of this program and play with coaches that are creative enough to give me opportunities. So.
After the 24-17 victory, the Saints sit atop the NFC South standings for the first time this season as they head into Week 10 on the road against the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday. Reporting for the Big Game, I'm Mackenzie Fletcher.
The New Orleans Pelicans dropped their second game in a row Monday night against the Denver Nuggets. With C.J. McCollum missing the game due to injury, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson combined for 42 points. But it was 14th overall pick Jordan Hawkins putting up a career-high 31 points while shooting 7 of 14 from behind the arc. Even with the rookie's spectacular performance, it wasn't enough as the Pelicans struggled to execute in the second half, leading to their 3rd loss of the season.
We can't get bored with executing over and over again. And we're coming out of halftime, and we're sloppy and we're flat, and it's like we almost feel like we've done enough. We haven't, especially against a good team, great team that the Nuggets have been. So a lot of good in the first half. We have to clean up the second half for sure.
Our 3 losses were definitely we should have won the game for sure, but we just came out a little flat in the 3rd quarter. Good thing it's a long season, only Game 7. So we're definitely figuring it out. We got the guys that want to figure it out, and the guys out buying. So I think we'll be fine.
The 2023 MLB season has come to an end as the Texas Rangers won their first World Series in franchise history over the Arizona Diamondbacks in 5 games. Backed by a number of dominant pitching performances led by Nathan Eovaldi, who finished the postseason with 5 wins, the most ever by a starting pitcher in a single postseason. Eovaldi wasn't the only player on the Rangers who made history during the Fall Classic, as shortstop Corey Seager became only the 2nd position player to ever win World Series MVP twice, next to Reggie Jackson.
I don't know what else to say about the man. He's just incredible. He's the guy you want up there, obviously, but what he did this season, I got to see him a lot, playing against him or managing against him in the National League West, and you appreciate him even more when you get to see him on a daily basis, how good this man is, how committed he is to winning. He plays a great shortstop, but at the plate, he's as good a hitter as I've had in a year.
We're going to take a break now, but when we come back, we're going to wrap this show up with some high school football coverage. We'll be right back.
Watching it isn't the same as doing it. Maybe it's time to go outside.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's just gotta try a little harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Welcome back to the Big Game. High school football has been getting a lot more coverage thanks to sports streaming networks. People across their respective states can watch their high school teams play across vast distances. But even if it weren't streaming, you can always go out and watch these games live. Anyway, long story short, it's pretty fun to watch these games, all right? And you get to watch many rival high schools face each other, and one of the best high school rivalries in Louisiana is the Hammond High Tornadoes and the Ponchatoula Green Wave. Hammond played host this year with every Hammond game played at Strawberry Stadium. So who was the victor in this year's matchup? Let's find out. All right, we start off the game with Hammond getting the ball first on the opening drive. They get stopped to 3rd and 16. But it's Taron Jones who gets out of the pocket, and he's going to pick up the first down. And that's a gain of 20 yards. We go a couple plays later, 3rd down, 3rd 11 this time. Taron Jones, he scrambles left, he throws deep, and he finds Broderick Peters wide open for the easy Tornadoes touchdown. Now, next possession, Green Wave ball, gets a good return, and he is down at the 28-yard line. Now, next play, 2nd and 10, Tyler Gallardora for a 13-yard gain, and that's the first down for the Green Wave. Next play, Ponchatoula runs the ball again. Jace Jackson, who goes 15 yards, getting into the end zone, just about tying the game to put the Green Wave on the board. But on the extra point, it's a fake, and it's overthrown. It can't be brought in, and so it's now 7-6, Hammond leading. From this moment on is where the tide begins to turn for the Green Wave, as on 3rd and 11, Taron Jones again finds Broderick Peters, who finds his way out of bounds for a 23-yard reception and the first down. Next play, snap comes. Now Taron scrambles. He finds his receiver deep. It's Kenyatta Fleet in triple coverage. Flags thrown, and he's moving forward, and that's a grab for 33 yards. Penalty is declined. Ponchatoula with the ability to get the Tornadoes away from the end zone right here with a 4th and 1 spot. Eli Johnson lined up behind center, gets the ball, but he gets the fresh set of downs. Same play lined up in formation for the Tornadoes as they give the ball back to Eli Johnson, who got into the end zone this time for a touchdown. But just before the first quarter wraps up, putting the Tornadoes up 13-6 on the Green Wave. Ponchatoula would not score again until the dying moments of the game with 1.5 minutes left in the 4th on a muff punt that went into the end zone, leading for a Ponchatoula player to fall on the ball, sending the score to 31-12, losing the rivalry game in Hammond and putting both the Tornadoes and Green Wave at 5-5, with Hammond High getting the tiebreaker thanks to costly turnovers by the Green Wave, including 2 fumbles, a Ponchatoula offense that over-relied on the run game, collecting only 42 yards in the air on just 6 attempts. Overall, the game ended in a score of 31-13 as the Hammond High Tornadoes get their senior night victory in Strawberry Stadium. And that'll do it for this episode of The Big Game. For more information on Lion Athletics, visit www.lionsports.net. And for more of us here at The Big Game, visit thesoutheasternchannel.com. So for Jermaine Kelly and the entire Big Game crew, I'm Carson Fryou saying so long, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Big Game.